most
So
important.
let's talk a little bit about the tactical side there. So can you comment on, what's going on with and how the role of a gas generator has changed? Because, Michael, you can chime in as well. The ways that generators were typically used by the U.S. Army and forward operating bases and the like in Afghanistan, our view is that you can't do that today in such a situation. But Mikola, comment maybe first, and then Michael, and then Alexei.
Oh, some few words. Uh, we must understand the tactic on the battlefield change every 3 months. Every 3 months we have new solution. Russian have new solution, but now it's a solution mostly on the technology. That's why I said that in future, maybe in half of year, we can see new war, and we don't understand what is war can be. Uh, because yeah, I can I see I saw in the war 12 years, and I see that like in first we was only riflesmen, only infantrymen, and now it's a modern war with drones. And in 10 years ago we don't understand what's the drones. 10 years ago I don't understand why I need vacuum batteries. 10 years ago I don't understand uh, the war can change. But now, in this situation, we see that war change, tactical change every 3 months. Every 3 months, you have a new solution. That's why your army, U.S. army, must be flexible, mostly flexible. And now I see that the situation in Iran, uh, yeah, you guys understand. Oh, okay. We don't think about Shahed, but Shahed flight. Okay, Ukrainian brothers give us a crew of drone interceptor. Okay, it's very quickly decision. Uh, but we don't understand how we can see war in 3 months. It's my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong, but in my opinion, no. In my opinion, we have new technologies, and this new technology can be a new result on the battlefield.
That's a very interesting situation that you're discussing because if it's evolving every 3 months, is it evolving because there's a paradigm shift, or what is the reason for it to evolve so quickly? I mean, that's like a radical integration of change that within a year. I mean, that's what I'm. It's what you're saying.
I can
Yeah,
answer.
yeah.
I can answer, but Alexei, can you translate? Can you
Uh,
help me translate? Yeah.
I will try. Yeah, I also
I,
maybe
I can
know
help.
why.
I can help
Okay,
too.
We'll all help. How about that?
Okay. Okay. Thank you,
everyone
guys.
will help you.
Uh, for example, uh, росіяни починають робити дрони на оптоволокні. В нас немає цьому протидії.
So
Через 3 місяці. Так.
yeah, I will do it for like Russians start to do fiber optic drones, and we don't have how to find this technology. It's for example.
Через 3 місяці ми розуміємо, що краще просто знищувати російські екіпажі дронів, аніж боротися з оптоволокном. І це змінює тактику використання.
After 3 months, we understand that it's easier to fight Russian operators of drones than fight fiber optic drones. So it changed the tactic.
Росіяни починають використовувати тактику ждунів, коли на оптоволокні доставляють дрони, які просто чекають наші машини на шляхах логістики. Через 2 місяці ми розуміємо цю проблему і робимо просто солдатам дають, військам логістики, солдатам дають дробовики, і вони вручну знищують таких ждунів.
So Russians start to do waiting drones that just stay near the road and cut the logistics. It just stay in the bushes, and when it saw some cars, like it hits it. But after 2 months, our troops understand that it's good to give our troops like some shotguns to shoot those drones near the roads to destroy them.
Third example, Shaheds use a Starlink. We go to the Elon Musk, tell, can you відключити?
You can turn off the ability for them
Yeah.
to use it.
Да, перепрошую. Turn on the Starlink. Okay, in 2 weeks, Russian understand, okay, we can destroy it, we can fly it on Ukrainian territory more than 50 kilometers. Okay, that's why now they destroyed our position on the front line. They destroyed our logistics center, our headquarters, like level battalion or brigade. That's why battalion and brigade headquarters must go in the rear, more go in the rear, and it's a big problem for Ukrainian army, because it's then you see when your soldiers on the battlefield, you commander sit on the headquarters in 80 kilometers. Yeah, 80 kilometers. It's a problem. That's why I said every 3 months we have a new solutions on the tactical level. Maybe not in a strategic, but in tactical level, every 3 months we have a new solution. Every 3 months we change our tactic. We change Russian change. And now we don't understand how tactic use Russian in the big offense in this summer, because they think about this. Thank you, sir.
Wow. That is so insightful. And I don't think people quite understand the radical nature of the evolution of warfare.
There's a classic debate among military scholars. Is war changing? Is war dramatically different? And the classical argument goes back to Clausewitz. And he says the nature of war does not change, but the character of war does. So really, they say the fundamentals stay the same. War is still political. It's violent. It's shaped by fear, friction, uncertainty, human will. But the way it is fought keeps changing as technologies, organizations, society, doctrine evolves. And, so that's kind of one side of the camp. And, or really, there's two camps that have formed from this debate. The first camp says war has fundamentally changed. Technology now compresses time. It exposes forces constantly. It allows cheaper systems to threaten some of the more expensive systems. And that side points out like the drones, autonomy, persistent ISR, distributed strike as evidence, and some of the old assumptions of mass maneuver and survivability are not as important as those things. The other camp, they say that this is just a overstated novelty, really. And the argument is that every era thinks their war is unprecedented, that but war still comes down to the political purpose, the leadership, the training, logistics, morale, deception, the will to endure, and that technology changes the battlefield, but it doesn't remove the friction or make war clean, easier, predictable. So a lot of current Army doctrine also writes about warns against confusing observation with durable lessons, and against assuming that every battlefield trend is a revolution. And one way that I've kind of come to terms with it is that warfare changes in character, but not in nature. So what's changing today is the speed of adaptation, the role of cheap autonomous systems, the visibility of the battlefield, the importance of networks and energy. What's not changing is that this is a conflict that is centered around politics, wills, human judgment, uncertainty, endurance. Whoever can tighten the OODA loop, observe, orient, decide, and act that Boyd created, and whoever can shorten that kill chain, that's who's going to win the maneuver fight. And when you kind of tie this into the power that we're talking about today, the one thing that is changing of the character of war is the dependence of portable power. The more warfare relies on drones, sensors, radios, edge technology, robotic systems, the more energy becomes a pricing factor for tempo, persistence, maneuver. So even if the nature of war stays the same, the energy demands of the modern battlefield are absolutely changing. And we can see this in Iran too. So we were talking a little bit about robots and people and maneuver warfare and attrition warfare. In Iran, and really what we're looking at in the future of warfare, because it's prudent to look at the future, not just what's happening now, is you have robots that are fighting, that are cheap, that are tradable, that cost less than human lives. And those are the things that are getting destroyed, and it's not the people in the main systems. So we look at our aircraft carriers and our planes, and there are different zones where we're willing to risk people and we're not, and we're going to send some of these autonomous systems in to destroy our enemy. And and I think it's interesting to look at the differences between the U.S. Israel Iran conflict and the Russia and Ukraine conflict, and I think there's some really important lessons to draw on it, and and why Ukraine has not won yet.
Well, what is your conclusion? I'm curious. Why is the
or the converse, Michael, is why is Ukraine not lost?
Yeah, I mean that's the counter.
Yeah. So there's a few reasons. I think one of the reasons is the planning of the targets. So Putin came into Ukraine as a KGB operative. The soldiers didn't even know that they were going to war until they started. There's stories about them not filling their tires or not, filling their oil and gas and changing it because they thought after this training exercise that they're going to do it. So there weren't pre-planned targets. He just went into it as a KGB operation, and he went into a country, Ukraine, that felt betrayed by Russia and betrayed by the world. Because remember, they agreed to get rid of their nuclear weapons if everyone would say, hey, we're hands off Ukraine. No one's going to invade Ukraine. And everyone betrayed them. And then their hands are tied. So once Russia invades, everyone says, well, we don't want nuclear war. So you can only defend your region and you can't go into Russia because we're afraid what's going to happen. And they don't have air superiority. I think very easily, if we gave Ukraine air superiority and we said anything that comes into Ukraine and attacks, we will destroy, Ukraine can win the war. I think very easily. I think if Ukraine went to Moscow and didn't worry about what the world thought and could actually do maneuver warfare and not attrition warfare, I think the war would be won. From the Russia side, the political side, I mean, for Putin, like, he wants the war to continue. He doesn't care about people dying, his Russian people dying. He's more worried about his power. And if he gets overthrown, or he can't just retire, because if he does, he's going to get killed. So this war is very important for him. It's important for him in his status in the world. And, how it played out originally is you look at Moldova, you look at Georgia, you look at some of those other countries that saw the U.S. as not really that strong of an ally and looking internally at what's best for the U.S. and then saying, okay, well, we need to either kiss up to Russia, or Russia's the strong man on the block. They're not afraid to take action. So we're going to get closer to Russia. And you saw that with a lot of the elections. But now what people are really realizing with the Iran conflict is Russia might not be the friend that you thought that they're going to be. And so what I think is going to happen is it's going to be a shift again to the West and to the US, and a shift to countries building up the defense of their own countries and seeing what's best for their country, and not relying like they have on kind of the rule-based status after World War II or the protection of NATO or the US, because they have to depend on themselves, I think is what we're going to see.
That's an incredible, insightful kind of historical perspective, because you're explaining two different perspectives of war. One of the things that makes me think about is back in World War II with the kind of the creation of the flying fortress. When we need to cover this distance between these islands and Japan. And the whole issue is about power. I mean, it goes back. I mean, the history of war is about supply chains. And the supply chains need certain elements. And one of them, whether it's horsepower, engine power, fuel power, or just battery power to run drones, these are these kind of constants that have happened historically. And right now, I mean, what you just said also about, the integration of modern technology and the application of power, that is a changing dynamic.
The famous saying that amateurs think tactics, experts think logistics. And power is a part of the logistics. And Mikola is right. He knows. He's fought it. Logistics is what's going to win the war. If you are talking about maneuver warfare, you need logistics. And until we can leverage logistics to have effects on the enemy, it's just an attrition war. And at the end of the day, if Ukraine fights an attrition war with Russia, Russia will win.
Let's hear from you two. What the statement that he says, do you agree with that? I mean, is that what your thoughts? Do you think if it's an attrition war, the ultimate outcome is that you will lose?
Олексій, допоможи перекласти саме питання.
Говорилося про логістику і
Так.
взагалі, хто думає більш це далі. Що виграє той, хто виграє логістику також.
Yes, Michael, right. The war, modern war is a logistic war. And who have a more strong decision, this side win. Unfortunately, Russians have a very, very strong school of logistic. They understand that logistic win the war. We understand this too, but in my opinion, Russian in this point most stronger. That's why we have many problems on the front line. If you can see the map, you can see that Russian, then they attacked the city like Avdiivka, like Pokrovsk. In first, they try to destroy the logistic. They try to destroy the flanks and taken in the encircle our position and destroyed our logistic. And after then, they day by day win the battle. That's why, and the modern war, the war in the 17th century, on the Second World War, and modern war is a war on logistic. And what side this understand, what country have a more clever, more stronger, and more cheaper solutions, this country win.
It's there is also a problem with Russia that they are a dictator country, and if they see some good solution like a Shahid, it's cheap and it works. It actually works. They put all their power to produce something, like a country, so they put all money to produce something cheap on a big things.
They make a cheap Shahed. We make a cheap drone interceptor. That's why drone Shahed cost nearby $20,000. Drone interceptor cost $5,000. That's why our decision more and more cheaper. And in the battle on our sky, in the battle against Shahed, we win. And now we have this. That's why, переклади, будь ласка, у війні на виснаження важливі дешеві і масові технології. Чия технологія буде дешевше, та сторона і виграє.
I'm not sure how на виснаження. So in the long term war, it's will win this who will have a cheaper and дешеві
cheaper and large scale.
Who will have a cheaper and a large scale
and mass, be able to employ at mass.
Yeah.